Here's kind of an odd one from the bowels of the Cranky Gun Review safe. This is an Amadeo Rossi model 518 22 long rifle. This particular gun was hiding in a local gun shop for, 3 or 4 months before I ended up picking it up. I looked at it a couple of times, and I was always a little bit leery about buying Rossi revolvers. Most of the reason is most of the Rossi revolvers that I've ever handled have been pretty worn out, pretty sloppy. From what I remember, a lot of these were made on old Smith & Wesson tooling. There was a period of time when Smith & Wesson, Rossi, and Taurus were all owned by the same parent company, and some of the Rossi revolvers and some of the Taurus revolvers were actually basically the same thing as a Smith & Wesson J-frame or a Smith & Wesson K-frame. This model here is pretty close in design and build to what would be like a nickel Smith & Wesson model K22 Masterpiece. This is a 6-shot 22 long rifle revolver, and it's basically the same size as a K-frame, like a Model 19 or a Model 17 or an 18, something in that vein. This one is extremely well built. It is extremely tight. The lockup is tight. The action is tight. This one has basically the same shape grips that my Model 85 Taurus has on it, the classic Taurus that I have. And the finish on this thing is just in exceptional condition. I mean, if I didn't know better, I would basically think that this is just a Smith & Wesson highly polished stainless steel 6-shot revolver. This has a recessed 6-shot 22 long rifle cylinder, and it has effectively what is a target hammer. It's really wide with a lot of nice checkering on it. It has fully adjustable rear sights, which is a U-notch, kind of like what you'd find on a Model 15 or a Model 19. And it has nice striations on the top of it to cut down on glare, as well as a nice front sight with a bright orange insert. Again, similar to what you'd find on like a Model 19 or a Model 29 or something similar to that. The crown on the front of this barrel is in excellent shape. As far as I can tell, this gun is very lightly fired. There is a little bit of crud around the forcing cone on the barrel, so I do know that this gun has been fired. But this is just one of those odd guns. Again, I don't ever pass up something that I think is worth buying. This was a really good price. I think when I bought this, it was quite a while ago, they had it for like $3.99. I think I talked them down to either $3.49 or $2.99. I think I paid $3.49 for it. And, it's in very, very good shape. Somebody obviously took care of this and did not shoot it a lot. But it is kind of one of those odd guns. And again, in the past, I've always passed on Rossi revolvers. I've seen a couple highly polished stainless guns like this in the J-frame size, and the timing just wasn't perfect on them, and the cylinder wasn't really tight. It was a little bit loose when it locked up. So I always passed on them, even though a lot of times you can get these guns for under $300. I mean, again, that 38 Special 5-shot revolver that I saw, and I can't remember the name, the model number of it, but when I looked at that one, I think it was around like $229. It was extremely inexpensive. This one was just nice enough that, again, I went back and looked at it several times over a couple of month period of time, and I resigned myself to the fact that one occasion when I went into this particular gun shop, if it was still there, I was going to buy it. So I walked in one day, it was still there, and I had to have it. Now, again, this comes from the Inner Arms import period in time, and from what I could do on my research side of it, this is the time period when these were actually pretty well built. And there's not a whole lot of information out there about Rossi revolvers, so if anybody has more information on this, feel free to share it with me, because I don't know a whole lot of information about this. Like I said, I know it was most likely made on Smith & Wesson tooling, Smith & Wesson dies, when the parent company owned Smith & Wesson Taurus and Rossi all at the same time. And as far as I can tell, this is one of the nicest example Rossi revolvers that I've ever seen. So again, just a little bit of an oddity. I thought it was cool. It deserved a video of its own. And the trigger in this thing is exceptionally good. So the double action trigger, I did an average of 4 pulls on it. The double action trigger, super smooth, 6 pounds, 10.9 ounces, which is exceptional for really any revolver, let alone a 22 long rifle. And that single action trigger pull, 3 pounds, 10.9 ounces. It is just a whisper over touching the trigger to get it to fire. This thing feels great in the hand. I really like these grips. They're not quite as bulky as like a full-size K-frame grip would be, but they're very comfortable. I actually have 2 sets of these grips, one on my Model 85 and another set from Taurus that I actually fit to one of my J-frames and had it on it for a while. This is just a fun little short video. I thought it would be a filler video in between some longer ones that I have planned. Thanks for stopping by Cranky Gun Reviews. I appreciate your viewership. Have a great day. God bless America. Support your 2A rights. Get out there and practice shooting safely. And you remember, if someone asks you to give up some of your freedom for the greater good, remind them that freedom is always the greater good.